This episode of WDW Today has been sponsored by All-Star Vacation Homes. And if you're looking to get a lot of room in your next Walt Disney World stay, well, now why not stay at All-Star Vacation Homes? They're going to be offering you lots of great amenities really close to Walt Disney World property. You're going to get a huge house with full bedrooms, full kitchen, movie room, game room, private pool. These are the sort of typical amenities you're going to find at an All-Star Vacation Home. And again, very, very close to Walt Disney World property. I love staying there. Why don't you go check them out? Go to www.allstarvacationhomes.com.
Bringing the world to your world, this is Walt Disney World Today. Here are Mike Scopa, Len Testa, Mike Newell, and your host, Matt Hochberg.
I'm Matt Hochberg from StudioCentral.com. Joining me on today's show is Mike Scopa, a senior feature writer and blogger for allears.net. Welcome, Mike.
This story calls for a different kind of introduction.
This, as you may recognize, is the maintenance service elevator. Tower of Terror.
I'm getting chills just hearing that.
And from the way that you said it, I believe it's the DCA version of Tower of Terror, Mike, not the... Just from the accent. From the accent
a little
alone.
technical.
Just from the accent.
Also joining us on today's show is Len Testa, co-author of the Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World. And Len, all these people think I'm talking to them, but I'm really just talking to you.
You!
Don't you just hate it when your nose runs?
Yeah. Oh, seriously, I'm just talking to you, Len.
No, really, I totally understand. So, Matt, here's what I've decided over the weekend. That crunchy peanut butter doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Because... think about real butter. Do you have chunks of cow in your real butter? No, you don't.
You could have chunks of
Ew.
coke.
And if you wanted crunchy peanut butter, why didn't you just keep the peanuts? They're crunchy
Exactly.
as stuff as
Why did you eat the peanuts themselves? Why go to the process of making butter? It doesn't make any sense. Yes, no.
It's a nutty idea. So.
What's the deal?
It's
Peanuts.
What's the deal?
Oh, wow.
How many gold?
Also joining us on today's show is Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. Welcome to the show, Mike.
It frightens me that Len thinks too deeply into things.
Like peanut butter?
Exactly.
Also joining us on today's show is the fabulous Annette Owens, a manager of customer relations and group services for MEI and Mousefan Travel. And Annette, Thanksgiving is this Thursday. Woo. My question is, are you going to continue the Southern tradition of having a deep fried turkey?
Well, that's a great tradition, but I've never had a deep fried turkey.
Me
That's
neither,
been the
but-
huge discussion. Most of the things I've been going to. No, I'm good old fashioned grandmother or mother cooks the turkey. I don't do that.
Oh, you don't do that?
No, I do the fixins.
The old-fashioned show up at someone else's house.
Exactly. You bring the fixins. Don't fix the turkey. But nobody's done a fried turkey.
Does your mom make a good turkey?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we come over?
Yeah.
Sure,
what time? What time? Where's your mother?
Yep, noon. Thanksgiving Day. Come on.
Noon Thanksgiving Day. Cool. And is your mom stuffing like really bone dry? Or like?
No.
Okay. All right. Just checking.
No. And again, Southern Thanksgiving, not,
Does that include yams?
That would be sweet potatoes, casserole,
And chilled wine.
green beans with a lot of ham hock in them. And yeah, all that good fattening stuff for
What?
Thanksgiving.
And ham? What?
Crunchy peanut butter.
No crunchy peanut butter.
No.
Well, on today's show, we're going to talk about attractions in Walt Disney World that could definitely use some TLC, some refurbishment, and we got to explain why. You can't just put it out there and say, well, this ride needs to go. That's it. You got to explain why, what need exactly about that attraction could benefit from some tender love and care, some refurbishment, and kind of dive into that aspect. And Mr. Scopa, since this was your show topic, I think it's appropriate that you should start us off today. So what attraction jumps out to you, Mike, as an attraction that definitely could use refurbishment?
Well, I think that all of us would probably be in agreement as to the number one attraction that would need refurbishment, and that's the Great Movie Ride in Disney Hollywood Studios.
Ding, ding, ding,
number
ding, ding.
number 4
Yep.
on my list, but go
Number
ahead.
4.
Really?
And this is what I feel. I think that the ride, the attraction is very it's very entertaining, but I think that for some of the younger guests, some of the movie scenes do not make sense. So I think it's time for the Imagineers to go to the drawing board and think about which movies they should bring scenes from into the Great Movie Ride and think about some changes they can make. I guess one of the problems that may be facing them is if there are copyright laws, if there are things that get in the way. But I really think that like the Johnny Weissmuller Tarzan, that's one that just doesn't. I don't feel it should be there. So I'm putting that as.
I'm surprised you made that your number one. I mean, I could think of at least 10 other attractions that I think are well more deserving than the Great Movie Ride or Rehab.
But see, the thing is that there's a contemporary flavor to the Great Movie Ride and a few other attractions that are in some of the other parks I won't get into. But I think the Great Movie Ride says something, and it just doesn't. It doesn't entertain all the guests. I mean, Matt, have you ever seen a Johnny Weissmuller Tarzan movie? You're 10, aren't you? 12.
I mean,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, but
Just doesn't even want to answer it.
I haven't seen a dinosaur, but that doesn't mean I don't find it interesting to go to the museum and check them out.
It's a reference point, though. There, I mean, Johnny Weissmuller with the yell and Cheetah. Who's Cheetah? What's that? And things like that. I really think that they should update it.
I mean, I don't agree with it, but Len, you mentioned when Mike mentioned that you said he was in your, I think number 4 on your list. Tell us a little bit about why you have that in your top 5.
I think for the exact same reason that a lot of the films aren't things that most kids today understand. In fact, anybody under 30 doesn't know who Johnny Weissmuller is. I mean, unless they're film majors, and kids have never seen Fantasia. Many of them probably haven't seen Mary Poppins. At least not children under 10, unless their parents are huge Disney fans. None of that stuff makes sense to them. The James Cagney stuff is just you might as well be talking about Julius Caesar. Notice the reference, by the way, Little Caesar to Julius Caesar.
Thank you, very nice.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, I don't think many of the scenes are. Number one, I don't think many of the scenes are relevant. Number two, I think given the amount of space that they have, they could do a whole lot more. Even Aliens. I mean, come on, there have been other horror movies since.
I just say this is my point of contention, is that it's not that it. Whether you want to debate its merits of it doesn't need a refurbishment, that's a different argument. I'm saying that in terms of the top 5, top 10, it wouldn't make my top 5 or top 10 attractions in Walt Disney World that are in need of attention if I rank them in terms of which I thought had to have priority for.
Not even top 10, really?
Not even top 10. It was number 4 on my list. It was the number one I have in the studios.
I could probably come up with another 10 attractions that I would probably want to. I mean, Noel, what do you think about this? Are you on my side or are you on Team Scopa here?
I'm a little bit split because I do believe what Mike says is valid, and I do believe what you say is valid. I don't think it should be the number 1, but I think definitely the top 5. Somewhere in the middle there.
It's number 4 on my list.
Yeah, I'm with Len. It's definitely, I mean, it wouldn't be my, if I had any amount of money to go spend and change something, that wouldn't be the first thing I'd hit, but it certainly would be, by the end of the day, a thought. So I kind of agree with Mike. And
I mean, they have done some great things to add some more contemporary movies in the clip at the end, but
yeah, it's a bunch of crap.
But that really doesn't fall in line. Yeah, no, I mean that's the only thing they've done. You go through with a bunch of kids, they have no idea what half the ride's about.
You might as well be talking about French cinema at that point.
Annette, what about what's your top attraction that you think needs refurbishment?
Well, I was right there with Scopa.
Really?
What?
Yeah. I was right there with Scopa.
I guess I'm alone in my principles here. Well, all right.
Great movie, right? I can think of 2 others in the studios alone.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the studios alone. Great. Sounds Dangerous in the Backlot Tour.
Absolutely sounds
much
dangerous.
better arguments that need.
See, I completely forget about Sounds Dangerous.
See, yeah, Sounds Dangerous.
Actually, I had Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and Indiana Jones as my other ones, which really just tells me that the entire studios needs to be demolished and started over.
Jesus.
We are kind of focusing on one park here, Matt.
And you know what?
We've come up with five of what, the 9 attractions that are in the studios.
Len brings up a good point.
Let's not talk about the Backlot Tour, right?
Yeah,
is this working?
I mean, I have for the studios. I mean, my number 1 attraction that I thought was Sounds Dangerous. I thought that one refurbishment, because Backlot Tour, the easy thing is say you need to get rid of it and put something else in there. That's not a refurbishment. That's a replacement. So refurbishment means you're going to take the current attraction and modify it somehow to some extent, so it sort of still exists in one way or another. And I picked Sounds Dangerous because I thought that Sounds Dangerous, obviously is very dated. I mean, we've talked about this in the past recent number of episodes between Len and I when we saw it a couple months ago, and it needs to be changed over. Kind of similar how it went from Monster Sound Show to Sounds Dangerous. Both talk about how sound is important in movies, and I think that it's important to once again revisit this attraction and give it a new film, give it a new way of delivering that message, because I think it is important, and it can be a cool way to do it. But look, it's not only is it Drew Carey, it's fat Drew Carey. It's
it's fat, like Fat Elvis. It's
yeah.
Fat Drew Carey.
I mean, it's totally different now.
It's what's on the.
It's not even Fat Drew Carey. It's ABC Drew Carey when he was a big shot on ABC, and that was 10 years ago.
Back when ABC was a major network network player, right?
Right. And the problem that I have, and Len brought this up with Honey, I Shrunk the Audience and Sounds Dangerous. The problem I have is those are both attractions that just feature a film. It's not a major omni-mover ride where we have scenes and settings. Just shoot the new film and just roll it in both those two theaters.
That'd be great. I mean, you could do something even simple. I mean, you get George Lucas, who loves to give Disney money whenever possible. Do like a THX attraction. That's the sound company that Lucas owns, that he created, that does a lot
THX,
of the sound for. I'm sure you've seen the THX logo, and then the noise.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a great, easy fit right there. Obviously, it's right there across from Indiana Jones, next to Star Tours, so it would make perfect sense. And that'd be my suggestion to kind of update Sounds Dangerous attraction. What's on your list, Noel?
Oh, like I said, Honey, I Shrunk the Audience, Sounds Dangerous, and even Indy. Indy is basically a stage show. It's not. It's not like you have to go. It's not like Small World or Horizons or any of those rides that the Omnimover rides that had several scenes and a major ride vehicles and the whole track setup. These are. I mean, you could shoot a new 3D film. It's probably expensive, but in the long run, all it is loading the film in the projector and showing it 3D. There you go.
Yeah.
Shoot something new.
Same
thing with Sounds Dangerous. It's like the beginning of Sounds Dangerous was 5 minutes of film, then total darkness. There's audio for the next 15 minutes, and then another 5 minutes of film. During the middle of the day in August, it's a great place to go and sit and relax in the cool. Put something new in there.
Yeah. Well, an attraction that I wanted to refer, let's move out of the studios for a second, is Spaceship Earth.
What? They just did that.
What?
But it's awful. It's awful.
Spaceship Earth is awful?
Yeah, this rendition. First of all, I mean, I know that you guys are not fans of the entire second half of the attraction. The descent part.
Okay, so the descent part needs some TLC, but dude, a refurbishment?
Yeah. New audio. I think the consensus.
You don't love the Earth. You don't love the Earth.
Let me tell you
You're
something.
not a friend of the Earth.
Len, of all the narrators, would you put Judi Dench's in the top two?
Let's see, there've been what, 3?
Yeah.
She's in the top 3.
Not top 2 though.
Really 4.
No,
There's
she's
been
not in the
4.
top 2. No.
Exactly.
Actually, my own internal narration is probably number 3, so she would be number 4 out of 3.
I'm saying, look, I'm not saying you have to go replace it. I'm just saying new narration, and you got to do something with the end of the attraction. You got to. It's just.
But they just redid that 2 years ago, regardless of whether it should be or shouldn't be. They just did it,
and it was a fail. So I'm thinking you got to go again.
I'm not a big fan of like when they did Journey and then they redid it again in another year or 2 years when Eisner.
Yeah, that's just admitting failure at that point.
Yeah, leave it for at least 5 years, then change it. I mean, it's crazy to change something that soon.
I'm just disappointed with it. It's a classic, and I yearn
agree.
for the Jeremy Irons version. I'm this close to putting it on my iPhone, and just that every time I ride, I just.
You think the Irons version was better than the Cronkite version?
No, nobody beat Cronkite.
That's a tough.
No,
but I think Irons version is far superior than the.
I agree with that, but I mean,
number 1, Jeremy Irons number 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And that the Japanese language is number 3.
Oh yeah. I mean the
when you hit another language, then
Right.
you don't have to listen to it.
Even that's better than Judi Dench.
Yeah, to ride through it in Japanese is really to know what it means to be a passenger on a spaceship.
On this spaceship.
Thanks, Newell. Just saying.
I'll never hear the end of that.
I never had a yen to listen to that.
Anyway, Len, what's another attraction that you think is in need of refurbishment?
I had 3 more besides the ones we talked about. I'm surprised no one actually mentioned this one. Stitch's Great Escape.
Yes. See that one again. That's on top 5.
Replacement. I don't know about refurbishment. Replacement. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking, you mentioned the criteria about an overhaul, but keeping the basic ride structure the same. The main problem I have with Stitch's Great Escape is the story. Mm-hmm. It's difficult to tell whether you're supposed to be rooting for Stitch or against him because he's showing up in handcuffs in the first version, and the story really doesn't make sense. If they could make Stitch a more sympathetic figure at the beginning of the show, I think you'd have a better chance of liking him more throughout the attraction, and then it kind of makes sense that you're rooting for him to escape and stuff, right?
You've got to take the Stitch as the end of the film. The Ohana Stitch,
right?
And the perfect thing would be, it's Stitch in Hawaii. He's having a great time with Lilo, and all of a sudden the Galactic Empire, seizes him because they accuse him of some, some
crime he
crime.
did not commit.
Right.
A one-armed man frames him for a
Murdered
crime.
somebody's
Wait,
wife.
hold on. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but that would be like there's the sympathetic because that's the Stitch we all love, not
Right.
the
Exactly. I'm with you.
and that could be perfect. And that could play almost into the same exact plot that we currently have, but
I think
it would
so.
make out that I agree
You
with
could
you.
use
on that.
many of the same effects, right? You could instead of Stitch running around terrorizing the audience, you could run around and terrorize the Galactic Federation or whatever, and then use the same effects, right? Just change the story.
I
I think
it.
that's doable. Maybe a couple of new gags. The other two attractions I had, two different parks. I had Universe of Energy in Epcot. Because fossil fuels are so 20th century.
Yeah, it's still
So
we
fossil?
solved that problem. Now it's all running on fusion.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a lot you can do with that. Ellen's changed a lot since then too, and there's just a whole lot more that you can talk about and keep it contemporary. I'd also like to see a better post show for this, or a pre-show with more, maybe some hands-on exhibits or something. I mean, I think Exxon made $25 quadrillion over the last couple of years. They can afford to throw some money at.
They're not a sponsor anymore.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Yeah.
That's the other problem you have.
That may be the problem.
Maybe the sponsorship is the problem.
The sponsorship was sucking their profits for all those years.
Yeah, that's
Now all
right,
of a sudden,
exactly.
That's the other problem you have is that
Kidding, we had to switch to domestic caviar for lunch. What? What? Exactly. The other one I had was, and there might be some contention on this, Kali River Rapids in the Animal Kingdom.
I agree.
lengthen it.
Lengthen it, yes,
Lengthen-
please.
Yeah, very short.
Maybe because I was just in Disneyland, we've got the Grizzly River Run, which is far superior in terms of Disney raft rides. There's just not much to the story. The queue is great. The queue is actually better than the ride in terms of theming. The ride, you go through it once, like, yeah, you get it. Cutting down rainforest is bad. Yeah. Poaching, bad. Right. Yeah, whatever.
It's just so quick.
Yeah.
It's so fast. You have to have a lengthened track. I mean, it's not a ride. You just go up there. You go through the burning rainforest, down a thing, and that's it. You're done.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I agree. So I think they could expand that. They've certainly got the room for it too. Mm-hmm. Even if the ride layout, the track layout doubles back on itself, they could do a whole lot more. I mean, look at what they did in DCA with a lot less land.
Good point.
Those are my picks. But I don't think they should change the queue at all.
No, look, the queue is great.
The other weird thing is the queue has a slightly different theme than the ride itself. It's like the queue is Indian, right? And then we talk about the surroundings, but then the story of the queue and the story of the ride don't match.
Yeah, there's no rainforest in India that I'm aware of.
Exactly.
Scuba, what's another attraction you had on your list?
Well, let's see. I had 3, and I already talked about the first one. The other 2, I'm going to go with Carousel of Progress, and I'll tell you why. I think that I have an issue with the gap between Scene 5 and Scene 6, and I think that they need
the 40s and
It goes from the 50s to the
2000s.
2000s. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well,
I
everyone
think,
they should do the 60s.
well, I think that they should, they should sit back and they say, okay, we've got six scenes here, and there should be consistency from one scene to the next. So I'm thinking that maybe they should go every 25 years, or something like that, or 20. But from it's almost like they go decade, and then half a century, or something like that. And I really think that just kind of throws it off. I think the last scene needs to be redone. I think that that needs attention. And the problem is that I really don't know if that will ever happen. I really don't expect that we'll ever see those first 5 scenes changing, because Walt Disney has his thumb on that, his fingerprints on that attraction. So I really think it would be blasphemy if they do anything to that. So unfortunately, we're going to have to live with it. But I really think they should. I don't know. I really think that kind of screams at me every time I go in there. I enjoy it, but it kind of screams at me because there's an inconsistency between the last 2 scenes.
Yeah, I mean, I remember going in the 90s, and in the 90s there was only there's a 40-year gap between the 50s and when you saw it, and now it's it's so much longer. So I totally agree, Mike. I think it just makes no sense where you're going like each decade, and you can see the differences, and then you go from the 50s to modern day, and it's way too big of a gap. Never mind that the future scene is woefully outdated.
Well, they've got 4 scenes, right? They've got the representing the 4 seasons, right?
Right, the turn of the century.
So you'd have to go turn of the century, the mid-20s, the 50s, the mid-70s, and roughly now, right? Give or take.
Mm-hmm.
So the mid-20s would be the mid-20s would work, right? That scene could probably stay almost exactly the way it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Give or take a couple of Lindbergh references. The 50s scene could stay pretty close to what it is, right? Post-war.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rat race.
The third scene you'd have to completely redo to 1975, although I don't think the house itself would have to change that much. The mid-70s, and some of the outfits might still work. And then you'd have to completely redo the fourth scene.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that attraction.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So one of the things I think they should do is that last scene should have one of the animatronics using a cell phone, because that's a big thing these days.
Oh yeah.
And,
I noticed I noticed the laptop that's in the scene is like a year one Compaq machine. It was the old orange screen display.
Yeah, you should have a flat panel display or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe she should have an iPad or something.
Maybe they should tap the number one shareholder in Disney, Steve Jobs, and have his company sponsor. I'm just saying.
A Mac? Put a Mac in the.
It'd be a perfect showcase for Apple in that future scene.
That's it. You should make it. Just hold the last scene in an Apple store.
Hang on a second, downloading the
Exactly.
podcast right now. Well, we got time for, I think, probably one more attraction, and I think we all agree that the most obvious one is Expedition Everest. Guys? I'm messing with you. All right.
Hold on, go back to Everest for a second. You do have a valid point about the whole Yeti.
Oh, you're on.
Oh, Yeti.
Yeti.
You
That's
do
true. Oh,
bring
that's true.
The Yeti, but what are you going to retheme it to?
No, just fix it.
Fix it.
Just fix it.
Rebuild it.
That's an easy one.
I gotta say, dude, I rode this thing recently. I can't tell the difference. It really doesn't care to me.
Oh, no, I definitely remember the difference.
I think those who have seen it can tell the difference. If you've never seen it before, it's hard to tell the difference.
Yeah. It's really, what's the word? It's sad, I think, at this point that it's been broken for so long.
When did it break? Do you remember?
It's been
Like
years, hasn't it?
like a couple of months after it first opened.
I'm not sure. It's been more than a couple of years now. I can't remember. It's been that long that I can't remember when it's been. I can remember it being broken more than it's ever worked. I think it was working a year, a million dreams.
Don't remember.
Yeah, but I mean that's just one. You don't have to change anything. Just make it work. There's no reason why something that new can't work, and they need to invest the money in it because it's really it takes away from the attraction so much. So I really think that it needs I was joking when I said Expedition Everest, but now that you mentioned it, Newell, good point. Expedition Everest, the Yeti needs to be fixed.
Next
Fix
time
the
they'll
Yeti.
buy the extended warranty.
That's right, exactly.
I want to remind all of our listeners that this episode of WDW Today has been sponsored by All Star Vacation Homes. And, we're talking about the holidays and where to go for Walt Disney World, but you know what? Nothing says a great holiday stay like an All Star Vacation Home because you're going to be able to go to your own home, get lots of space for everybody there. No matter how many people you bring, you want to bring 4 people, you want to bring 8 people, you want to bring 16 people, they can accommodate that. And the best part, great prices. Go check them out online at www.allstarvacationhomes.com. For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, and Mike Newell, and the Fabulous Annette Owens, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.
Stupid Judy, stupid energy.
This has been a production of Mouse World Radio.